Hi, I'm John Green. Welcome to my salon. This is Mental Floss Video, and we're talking about fitness today, so I'm wearing my headband. By the way, did you know that in the US, self-identified runners jumped from 100,000 people in the early 1960s to 30 million by the late 1970s? I am one of those self-identified runners, or at least I'm trying to learn to be in my new show about health and fitness, 100 Days. Anyway, that's the first of many facts about exercise I'm going to share with you today. So you've no doubt heard and read a million things about how exercise is good for you, so I'm going to start with some other information and then we'll get into how awesome it is. Despite millions of fitness articles, Americans still have a few misconceptions about exercise. Like in one study, 45% of people said the most effective time to exercise is in the morning, but that isn't true. Experts believe that working out in the afternoon or evening has the same benefits. According to a 2013 study from John Carroll University, we're most likely to exercise when we're in a neutral mood rather than overly happy or sad. In the study, 153 students were separated into three groups. One watched a sad film clip, another watched a funny TV show, and one watched a business documentary. Then the participants filled out a survey about fitness, and those who had watched the documentary were most likely to report a planned workout, although it should be noted that I have made many plans for workouts that did not result in actual workouts. Marathons have become increasingly popular. Between 2009 and 2014, the number of marathon runners worldwide increased by 13.25%. Asia experienced a 92.4% bump in popularity during that time. Those numbers were determined by an expert who looked at 1.3 million race results from marathoners around the world, and from that data he also learned about gender differences in marathon running. For instance, the average time for men was 4 hours 13 minutes and 23 seconds. The average time for women was 4 hours 42 minutes and 33 seconds, but women are about 18.6% better at maintaining a consistent pace over the course of the full 26.2 miles. Men and women are also different when it comes to workout music preferences. In 2014, researchers at Brunel University in London worked with Spotify to examine over 6.7 million workout playlists. They found that women were more likely to have Rihanna and Lady Gaga on their playlists, and men preferred Eminem's Till I Collapse and Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. I mostly listen to One Direction songs, and then that One Solo Effort by Nile. Of course, there are other demographic differences when it comes to exercise besides gender. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports that 3 times as many college graduates exercise compared to people who didn't finish high school. If you're wondering how to motivate yourself to work out, maybe have your significant other exercise for 6 years first. It turns out that 70% of people become active themselves within 6 years of having a consistently active partner. Weirdly, that is almost exactly true for my wife and myself. I began exercising seriously about 6 years after we started dating, and she was always exercising. People also enjoy physical activity more when they're with a friend. In 2013, researchers recruited 117 people between the ages of 27 and 73 for a 4-day study. 8 times a day, they would answer questions about what they were doing and who they were with. Around 84 of the people did some physical activity during that time, and people were more likely to report being happy during that activity if they were with a friend, a spouse, or a coworker. As for what TV show to watch while working out, a 2013 study published in the journal Frontiers in Autonomic Neuroscience examined the blood flow, heart rate, and respiration of participants on a treadmill. They found that people who were watching footage of a person running had increases in all those areas, so it might be best to watch sports, but more importantly, it's most fun to watch Vanderpump Rules. It's definitely been great for me to work out with my best friend Chris, and also because he's so much fitter than me, I get to watch him run away from me while I try to run behind him. And after all that treadmill time, you should consider having beet juice. A study from Washington University gave 9 people with heart failure less than 1 cup of beet juice. It's easier to measure muscle power in that particular group, in case you're wondering why they had such specific criteria. Anyway, that small amount of juice resulted in a 13% increase in muscle power. Having said that, we should be really skeptical of what people tell us we need to consume for better fitness. In 2010, the journal Nutrition published a study consisting of data from 1,000 adult members of commercial gyms. About half the men surveyed took dietary supplements, mostly protein powders, and the researchers found that exactly 0 of these men needed the extra protein. Researchers at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology have developed a calculator to determine your fitness age, basically how your cardiovascular fitness compares compares to other people of your age and sex. A study of fitness age was conducted at the Senior Olympics Games, where about 10,000 people between the ages of 50 and 100 compete in various sports. The average age of athletes was 68, but the average fitness age was 43. By the way, you can calculate your fitness age online. We'll put a link in the description. I'm not telling you my fitness age though, because that's not for polite company. A study published in 2014 asked a group of people in rigid arm casts to regularly imagine contracting and resting their wrist. After the cast was removed, that group lost substantially less strength in their arm compared to a control group that didn't do the visualization. Some believe it might aid in muscle strengthening. A study from a few years earlier showed a similar connection between exercise and the mind. A Harvard psychologist met with a group of hotel housekeepers in the mid-2000s, and 67% of them reported that they did not exercise regularly, even though their jobs were exercise. Some of the study participants were told how many calories they burned every day at work, and then a month later, the psychologist returned to find that the housekeepers who learned about their daily exercise compared to a control group had a 10% decrease in blood pressure and lower weight and waist-to-hip ratio. Taking rest days can help too. Studies have shown that taking a day off every once in a while lessens fatigue, increases strength, and restocks glycogen. Of course, if you have nothing but rest days, you're not exercising. Many people wonder how long it actually takes to get out of shape. According to one study of cyclists, taking 4 weeks off from working out reduced their capacity to take in and use oxygen while exercising by 20%. That happens even quicker in people who are new to exercise, like myself. Okay, now let's talk about how cool exercise is. In general, it does seem to lengthen life. According to one study, people who exercise for 450 minutes per week are 39% less likely to die prematurely than non-exercisers. And exercise has been shown to reduce C-reactive protein, which is an indication of inflammation. Inflammation makes us more susceptible to cardiovascular disease, so you don't want it. It's also believed that exercise decreases the risk of breast cancer by an estimated 10 to 25%, and exercising a lot in adolescence is supposed to be especially helpful, but that ship for me has sailed. And exercise may make us smarter too. A study published in 2009 had people age 50 and older complete a 6-month workout plan. Afterwards, that group did remarkably better on a cognitive test than the control group who didn't do the program. And that seems to be true in younger people as well. Some studies have shown a correlation between exercise and good grades, like of 266 undergraduates at Saginaw Valley State University in the late 2000s, the ones who did vigorous exercise regularly had better GPAs on average, even after controlling for other factors. And exercise also might help our brains in other ways. Like research published in 2015 found that young people may experience less sadness if they exercise regularly. Of students who exercise 6 to 7 times per week, 25% reported feeling sad for 2 or more weeks in the previous year. In the group of students who exercise between 0 and 1 days per week, 35.7% reported that amount of sadness. And if you want to increase your willpower, experts recommend, you guessed it, exercise. People who need to push through something they don't want to do or refrain from eating something they feel they shouldn't are aided by fitness. This probably has to do with changes to the prefrontal cortex of the human brain. And finally, I returned to my salon to tell you that weightlifting might help people quit smoking. A study published in 2011 asked smokers to do 2 hours of weight training each week, and after 12 weeks, 16% had managed to quit smoking compared to 8% of a control group who didn't lift weights. I don't smoke, but this episode has gotten me fired up to exercise. Anyway, thank you for watching Mental Floss, which is made with the help of all of these lovely people. Let me know in comments what your favorite kind of exercise is. Mine is running at the moment because everything else is so hard. And if exercise is of interest to you, please check out and subscribe to the channel 100 Days, a health and fitness show brought to you by the same people who work on Mental Floss. As we say in my hometown, don't forget to be awesome.